some of viewers, those of you that are following us on our social media platforms, could be on Facebook and indeed not forgetting YouTube. Let's quickly look at a business that was considered on the floor of the House. That was last month on the 27th of September, just before the House adjourned Senate, when the Minister presented the 2025 estimates of revenue and expenditure. John, let's quickly look at the business that was considered.
Yes, boss. And so the Minister of Finance and National Planning did present the 2025 national budget, and the estimates of revenue and expenditure stood referred to the Portfolio and General Purposes Committee for detailed consideration until Wednesday, 30th October 2024.
After that presentation of the estimates for 2025 by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbe Musokotwane, the House did adjourn at 16:49 hours. So today, Tuesday, after that's adjourned, today we expect the House to resume, and Madam Speaker is expected to take the chair at 14:30. So basically, that's the business that was considered on the floor of the House last month on the 27th of September 2025. For now, we'll take a short break. On the other side, we'll let you in on what is expected to be considered on the floor of the House. Keep watching Parliament Television.
The National Assembly of Zambia invites applications from suitably qualified and experienced candidates to fill the following positions. 1. Printing Assistant, 1 candidate. Main duties and responsibilities: printing debates, running, photocopying documents, printing reports, abstracts and other publications, and performing other duties as assigned by the supervisor. Qualifications and experience: a grade 12 school certificate, holder of a certificate in printing, certificate in graphic design will be an added advantage, and at least 2 years working experience in a similar field. 2. Annotation Assistant, 1 candidate. Main duties and responsibilities: annotating proceedings of the House, collating and distributing members' contributions, playing the national anthem to commence the parliamentary proceedings, keeping an audio and printed record of the proceedings of the House, and performing other duties as assigned by the supervisor. Qualifications and experience: grade 12 school certificate, holder of a diploma in journalism, certificate in graphic design will be an added advantage, and computer survey, and at least 2 years working experience in a similar field.
Well, thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. Our sign language interpreters for today, we do have Chola Kauma and Jason Manda. Like I mentioned earlier on the 27th of September 2024, the House was suspended to allow various committees to sit and look at the budget estimates that were presented by the Minister of Finance on that particular day. So members of Parliament have been busy, more especially those sitting in various committees, and today and yesterday some committees did begin making submissions to the expanded Planning and Budget Committee, and we expect them to render a report to the House. So Joe, let's quickly look at what to expect the House to consider today.
Yes, indeed. So the outlook of the order paper from the 15th October 2024 is as follows. We expect announcements, if there will be any. We also expect our Honour the Vice President to present the business statement for the period between 15th to 25th October 2024, and also urgent matters without notice, if there will be any.
Also expect the House to consider a ministerial statement, and this ministerial statement will be rendered by the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, and this is Honorable Jack Mwim, the State Council. And this ministerial statement is on the measures being taken to reduce incidences of social media account hacking. And we do have 9 questions for oral answer. Understanding Order 80, and these are ordinary questions. And the first one will come from Mr. Ndaleki Katombola, Member of Parliament, directing his question to the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. The member wants to find out whether the government has any plans to sink boreholes and construct dams in Katombola Parliamentary constituency to cater for people and livestock.
We also have Mr. Allen Banda, Chimwemwe, Member of Parliament, who has directed his question to the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. He wants to find out in how many inmates were serving sentences for aggravated robbery as repeat offenders from 2021 to 2023, year by year, and B, how many deaths of inmates resulting from violence within the correctional facilities were reported countrywide from January 2020 to May 2024, year by year.
Any moment from now, we'll be able to see the presiding officer and the leader coming to the chamber. That will signify the commencement of today's business. Let's continue sharing with you what is appearing on today's order paper. Mr. Chala Chipili, Member of Parliament, is asking the question to Minister of Mines and Minerals Development. He wants to find out when the government will lift the suspension of exploration and mining licenses issued before August 2020. We'll now cross over to the floor of the House for the commencement of today's business.
Honorable Members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Vacancies of Zambia, proud and free, land of work and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our right. We want freedom's fight, oh, and strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those to blend. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun, oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Remain with them under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I have an announcement to make. I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of students and lecturers from the University of Zambia Law Association in Lusaka district. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. Thank you. You may be seated. We shall have the business statement. Business statement by Her Honor the Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to inform the House that the House Business Committee met on Monday, 14th October 2024, to determine and schedule business of the House for the period 15th to 17th October. In this regard, the committee resolved to lay before the House the following business for consideration. A. Announcements. The Honorable Speaker may make announcements if there will be any. B. Rulings. The Honorable Speaker may render rulings if there will be any. C. Ministerial statements. Honorable Ministers will render ministerial statements on topical issues if there will be any during this period. D. Private members' motion. 2 private members' motions will be considered as follows. Honorable Member Mr. Sika Ngombe will bring a motion, a private member's motion on request, or rather request large-scale mining companies to produce electricity for their production. This will be presented on 16th October 2024. The second motion is by Mr. S. Chanda, MP, which is to promote countrywide breeding of Niloticus tilapia. This is also on 16th October 2024. E. Bills. The bills listed hereunder will be considered. Name of the bill and the stage and the date for consideration. Number 1, the Health Professions Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2024, second reading. The date is yet to be determined. Second, the National Health Research and Training Institute Bill, National Assembly Bill number 13 of 2024, second reading. The date is yet to be determined. 3, the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2024, second reading. The date yet to be determined. 4, the Zambia National Public Health Institute Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 15, 2024, second reading, and the date yet to be determined. F, reports on international conferences. Reports on international conferences will be presented, if there will be any. G, questions. The Honorable Ministers will respond to 22 questions for oral and written answers and set out hereunder during the same period. The details of the questions are contained in the notice of questions circulated to all honorable members. Questions on standby. The questions on standby to replace questions that may not be placed on the order paper on the designated day for one reason or another are as set out hereunder. Question number 120 on infrastructure, housing and urban development. Question number 110, finance and national planning. Question number 112, information and media. Question number 175, infrastructure, housing and urban development. Question number 198, home affairs and internal security. Question number 47, lands and natural resources. Number 10, labor and social security. Question 108, infrastructure, housing and urban development. Question number 44, local government and rural development. And question number 38 on health. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the House Business Committee, and in accordance with Standing Order number 44 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2024, I have the pleasure to present the business for this week to this august House. I thank you, Madam.
Thank you. We move to urgent matters without notice. The Honorable Member from Kana.
Madam Speaker, I rise on this urgent matter without notice, which matter I would like to direct to the Minister of Energy in his absence, to the Vice President. Madam Speaker, fuel is the lifeblood of our economy. Without that blood, Madam Speaker, the economy would crumble or would die. In the wisdom of the late founding President KK, he established Tazama and Indeni to guarantee supply of fuel and the stability of price. Madam Vice President, you are aware today that in the absence of electricity, some facilities, health facilities in that regard, are operating on gensets, which gensets are using fuel. Without fuel, Madam Vice President, the patients in those health facilities who are dependent on those machines propelled by power would obviously die. There's a disaster today, there's a looming crisis of fuel, I'm sure you are aware, across the country, owing to a flawed policy decision that was made by the New Dawn government to step out of the fuel subsector. There is no government in the world that steps out of the fuel subsector, but the New Dawn stepped out, which has now led to where we are. We are now at the mercy of the private sector, and today, Madam Speaker, as we speak, the Copper Belt, Lusaka, and many parts of the country are experiencing serious shortages of fuel, to an extent that in some places in the northwest, fuel is fetching as high as 100 kwacha per liter. Is the Vice President, Madam Speaker, in order to sit there very quietly, though she came late, and not to come and inform the nation as to what this government is doing in addressing this critical component of our economy called fuel? I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much. This matter, I think the public, they need to know why we've been having some erratic supplies of fuel. Is it this week and last week? But not what the Honorable Member from Kana mentioned. It is wise that the Honorable Minister of Energy comes to the House and inform the public as to why there is an erratic supply of fuel in the country. I'll ask the Honorable Minister of Energy to come back to the House next week on Tuesday with a ministerial statement just to update the nation on what is happening with the supply of fuel on the Zambian market. Thank you. The Honorable Member for Dundumwezi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. My question of urgent matter without notice goes to Her Honor the Vice President, who arrived in this House on time. And this is why we are asking questions, because she's seated right up on her position. Madam Speaker, UPND has recorded serious growth, important growth in...
Order, honorable members, order. Order, honorable members on my left. The honorable member from Pika. Order, the honorable member for Lunte, please can you give him chance? The honorable member for Dundumwezi, you may continue with your
Some people,
matter.
Madam Speaker, you wonder where they grew up from and which schools they went to. Before I say anything, he's raised on a point of order. So, Madam Speaker, what I was saying was that in the Ministry of Agriculture, something that we've never seen before is happening in this country, where right now farmers are redeeming and collecting inputs the very day they have deposited. However, there are very few farmers, Your Honor, where they've been told that their NRCs are not matching with their phone numbers. So they are asking, what assurance is government giving to these very few farmers who also want to access inputs on time? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honorable member for Dundumwezi. You might as well use another fora so that that matter can be attended to. It's more like an administrative matter, just affecting certain constituencies, but please find a way of bringing the matter back to the floor. The honorable member for Lumezi.
Thank you so very kind, Madam Speaker, for permitting the voice of Lumezi to raise an urgent matter without notice, directed at Her Honor the Vice President of the Republic of Zambia. Your Honor, don't worry, it's not a problematic matter, but that needs urgent address. Madam Speaker, for the last few months and days, hours, this country has experienced unprecedented levels of accidents across the country. The accidents, Madam Speaker, started with the current Chief Justice of the Republic of Zambia, and then social media is flooded with stories, I don't want to say rumors, but I'll say stories, that the current Chief Justice had rendered in his resignation, and it is the wish of the people of Zambia to get the actual status on the condition of the current Chief Justice as to whether he did resign or he is performing his functions, especially that accidents that are taking place in the last few months, days and hours are unprecedented, Madam Speaker. I seek your serious indulgence. I thank you.
Thank you, the honorable member for Lumezi. Your issue actually, it has got so many components, but when you look at the requirements for a matter to be admissible, it deals with only one issue. In your matter, you talked about the resignation of the Chief Justice, the condition of the Chief Justice, and also the accident. It's very difficult now to pick up a single thing that you are talking about. You have to be very precise. So because of that, your matter is so loaded, it's not admissible. We make progress. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security to present a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for giving me this opportunity to render a joint ministerial statement in response to an urgent matter without notice raised by the Member of Parliament for Ron, Honorable George Weah, on what measures the government is taking to curb online scams. My statement, Madam Speaker, will address the extent of these scams and the efforts being made to fight this vice. Let me point out that this statement is a product of the collaborative effort of the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security and the Ministry of Technology and Science. Madam Speaker, in recent years, we have witnessed a rise in online and mobile money scams targeting our citizens. People from all walks of life are being defrauded by criminals who exploit the convenience of digital platform to perpetrate fraudulent schemes. One such common scam, Madam Speaker, involves individuals claiming to offer employment and empowerment funds for the youth or magic money to unsuspecting members of the public. These scams can scale up their operations easily, using computers to send millions of scam phone calls, SMS, and WhatsApp or Telegram messages daily. On the other hand, phishing scams are also a significant concern. Scammers impersonate trusted entities such as government agents, banks, and delivery companies, misleading victims into revealing confidential information. This results in financial losses for many, eroding public trust in digital financial services in Zambia. Scammers are both locally based and part of the transnational organized crime, criminal groups. These criminals are technologically adept and use sophisticated methods to cover their tracks. Their operations are well resourced and extensive, making it challenging to track them down. Madam Speaker, between 2023 and the first half of 2024, the Zambia Police Service recorded 1,124 online scams. These include 320 cases of obtaining money by false pretenses, 100 cases of cyber extortion, 184 cases of unauthorized access to data, and 450 identity-related crimes. The combined losses amounted to over 38,948,000 kwacha, of which property valued at 12,407,990 has been recovered. Investigations in 560 cases have been concluded and taken to court, with convictions secured in 117 cases. Trial is ongoing in the remaining cases. Madam Speaker, anyone can fall prey to scams, and it's a mistake
to think only certain segments of our population are targeted. Young adults between 20 and 30 and 40 are particularly prone to job and e-commerce scams, while elderly citizens over 50 mainly fall victim to phishing, fake friend calls, and investment scams. Madam Speaker, with the challenging global economic conditions, we should expect more scams where perpetrators request for money from victims. Many of us have received scam messages through chat applications like Telegram and WhatsApp, offering attractive commissions for simple online tasks. Scammers often ask victims to provide their own funds in return for promised rewards. I strongly urge the public to be cautious of such offers, as legitimate companies would never ask for money before starting work. E-commerce scams are another concern, especially as people seek attractive deals to cope with the rising cost of living. Victims not only lose money, but may also unknowingly give up control of their bank accounts. Madam Speaker, our government recognizes the severe impact these fraudulent activities have on the lives of ordinary people. As the Minister of Internal Security, working together with the Ministry of Technology and Science, I want to assure the public that we are taking decisive action to combat these crimes. We are strengthening efforts to track, apprehend, and prosecute scammers. And we are collaborating with financial institutions, mobile network operators, and other stakeholders to implement stronger security measures and raise public awareness. As government, we are not only working to stamp out scams, scammers are constantly evolving, targeting human vulnerability to continue their illicit activities. Enforcement alone is not enough. We are focusing on educating the public to become more aware and discerning, protecting themselves and others from falling victim to scams. While many people know about scams, they may not fully understand the steps they can take to protect themselves. We aim to bridge this awareness gap by sensitizing them. Madam Speaker, the government has heightened awareness-raising activities through the establishment of a short code, *707# to report mobile scams and fraud. I wish to assure the House and the public that the government is taking other proactive steps to protect our citizens from online fraud, particularly on social media platforms. We have engaged all mobile network operators to ensure that the agents do not issue pre-registered SIM cards, including issuing SIM cards using national registration cards that do not belong to the SIM card owners. This will significantly contribute to managing some of the identity challenges being faced. Madam Speaker, as with so many forms of crime, developments in modern technology has brought so many benefits to our society, have also created new opportunities for those who seek to engage in fraud in this regard. It is worth noting the important work of the Zambia Police Service through the Cyber Crimes Unit, which we are capacitating in tackling such cyber-enabled crimes in collaboration with the Zambia Information and Communications Authority, ZICTA. We are enhancing the capacity of these institutions to respond to cyber-enabled fraud and economic crimes. Madam Speaker, in the broader area of cybersecurity policy and legislation, we have pursued legislative and policy changes to tackle and prevent cyber crimes as well as improve cybersecurity. The Cybersecurity and Cyber Crimes Act No. 2 of 2021 provides for, among other cyber-related issues, cybersecurity and criminalizes extortion and unauthorized access to data. To further secure the cyberspace, the Cybersecurity and Cyber Crimes Act 2021 will be repealed. Two bills, the Cybersecurity and Cyber Crimes bills, will be before the House for consideration, have since been devolved. Madam Speaker, the objects of the bills, among others, are to provide for offences relating to computers and computer systems, provide for the protection of persons against cyber crimes, and provide for cyber security in the Republic. We will continue working with all stakeholders to ensure that the policy and legal frameworks comprehensively respond to emerging issues. In 2021, the Data Protection Act was enacted to provide an effective system for the use and protection of personal data, regulate the collections, use, transmission, storage, and otherwise processing of personal data. Through our dedicated institutions, we are enforcing the provisions of our pieces of legislation to ensure the security of the cyberspace and protect the general public. Madam Speaker, to enlist the support of the global community in securing the cyberspace and heightening the fight against cyber crimes, we are taking steps to be part to a number of international instruments, including the Budapest Convention, which is a treaty aimed at combating cyber crimes globally. Madam Speaker, we are working closely with all stakeholders to raise awareness about the importance of setting security pins on WhatsApp and SIM cards to prevent account takeovers. Furthermore, we are enhancing compliance checks to ensure that telecom operators and their partners adhere to strict security protocols during SIM registration. These measures are crucial in safeguarding the personal information and financial security of all Zambians. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement presented by the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security. The Honorable Member for Mwandi.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker, and let me thank the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs for that extensive statement. My follow-up question, Madam Speaker, is that the Minister has indicated that in regards to these scammers, you know, their tracks are very, very difficult to follow. You see that you receive, especially for us who are from the rural constituencies, indalama sha CDF na shifuma, indalama for what has come out, and the target sometimes is or indalama sha balanda na shingira sha CDF. So, but usually the target is also our rural constituency.
Our target sometimes. Member for Mwandi, you mentioned something in I don't know what language it was.
So, Honorable, it means that the money for the poor for CDF has come through. So usually these messages are sent, and they are sending it, you know, like for me I should send an NRC number to receive money for CDF. Anyway, so they target sometimes our rural constituencies, the ones that do not have this information. Usually in Lusaka there is a lot of, activities that engage the citizenry to make sure that they understand what is involved in this coming. But in the rural constituencies, Honorable Minister, the sensitization is so low. So what can be done to make sure that the information that exists within, like for example, the urban areas also reaches our rural constituencies, because so often they've become targets of these cyber crimes? I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I indicated, we are enhancing collaboration between our Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security and the Ministry of Science and Technology and other stakeholders to ensure that members of the public are educated pertaining to the increasing scams in the country. We would encourage members of the public, especially MPs, to go on radio together with ourselves to start educating members of the public and bring awareness to the issues at hand. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving a chance to the people of Lundazi to ask the follow-up question on this matter, which is really a challenge, especially for us in rural areas. Honorable Minister of Home Affairs,